Happy Sunday to each and every one of you out there. Thank you for tuning in. This is Point of View, and I am Bobby Munson. Good to be joining you here on this Sunday, as I'm going to be very shortly watching the Manchester United Newport County F.A Cup fourth round of matchup here today. But again, this is the show where you can talk to me about anything in the world of pop culture, so make sure you get your comments and questions in. And good morning to Mr. Bobby Stats, Bobby Petito, the Ring Respect Radio YouTube chat champion there for our trivia nights. Bobby, how are you doing today? How did you enjoy the Royal Rumble yesterday, my friend? And good morning. Hold on. Click buttons properly, Bobby. Good morning, Astrid. How are you doing? Astrid, how was the experience of being there live at the Royal Rumble yesterday? And all weekend for that matter as well, too. So happy you got to be there and do all that. Bobby's doing great. You know what? That makes me a happy Bobby myself there, Bobby. So good. Glad to hear it. I'm great as well, too. This Sunday is serving up to be a good one. Again, I'm hoping that my team comes up with a win here today. They should on paper, because we're playing a team that is divisions below us. So I'm hoping for the absolute best, but we'll see what the outcome ends up being. But yes, the Royal Rumble last night was a fantastic time. I got to admit, one of the best Royal Rumbles I've ever watched from top to bottom, the matches were solid. The Royal Rumbles were solid. I can't really pick it apart too badly. There is nothing that I disliked heavily about last night's Royal Rumble. Bobby still has goosebumps for Jordan Grace showing up in a WWE ring. I thought that was fantastic. I mean, I thought it was great just to be able to hear the commentators mention the TNA Knockouts Championship with Naomi coming back and saying that she had gone there and won that during her time off. So I was like, oh, wow, this is a nice era where we finally get to hear that kind of thing. Accolades being given to championships outside of the WWE. But then when Jordan Grace actually came out wearing the TNA Knockouts Championship, they one-upped it completely. And it was like, wow, this is impressive. And Jordan Grace looks like she belongs there 100%. Like she belongs in the WWE ring. And I know no TNA fan wants to lose her over on the TNA side by any means, but I'm sure that everybody that's a WWE fan last night that doesn't watch TNA, that isn't familiar with Jordan Grace, said, oh shit, this is somebody to watch out for. So it was a very awesome moment. Good morning, Brian Carter. So what do real soccer fans think of the Wrexham phenomenon? I think Wrexham is a fantastic situation. Like, you know, it's such an interesting, unique story, and it's tough to explain to people if you don't follow it too closely, because Wrexham were this team and on the outside of English football, aka soccer, they were sitting there outside of what they call the league tiers. And it's really hard to get to a point where your team gets past the league tiers and gets into or gets out of the regular tiers into the league tiers and then successful from there as well too. And the crazy part about Wrexham is not only did they manage to get out of that tier or into the League Two system, they were told this is going to be a very difficult road, and they're currently sitting in second place. So they're in a promotion spot at the moment with a chance to move up to League One by next season. It is an absolute stunning phenomenon. I love it. It's a Hollywood story all in its own. Papa Smokes, good morning, brother. How are you doing? Happy Sunday to you. Thanks for dropping by. Yes, awesome, man. Glad you're here. Bobby saying, which wrestlers in TNA would you like to have seen at the Royal Rumble matchup? I mean, arguably, it would be fantastic to see Giselle Shaw get a chance in the Royal Rumble matchup, just because the fact that as I was breaking into professional wrestling myself, Giselle was still working spots here in Saskatoon for High Impact Wrestling right before Pop Smokes and I kind of got in there and started filming and doing the commentary too. So it's somebody who's close to local here for us. So it'd be great to see her get that opportunity with TNA having allowed Jordan Grace over last night. You know, on the men's side of things, I would have loved to see Josh Alexander. I think Josh Alexander is a fantastic talent and a great star, and I would love to see Josh Alexander have been able to have that chance too. But again, I'm glad that WWE didn't overstuff it by going, oh, okay, well, we have this opportunity. Let's do it in both Royal Rumble matches, because then you wouldn't have had a uniqueness. And that was the thing that separated the two, is that the women's match had a uniqueness by having that spot, having Jordan Grace in there, having her come out after the TNA Knockouts Championship being mentioned with Naomi's return. So I'm glad they decided not to book the Royal Rumbles in the same manner for that situation. Bobby saying, I'd like to see Mike Bailey and Josh Alexander for the men's Royal Rumble match. For sure. Yeah. No, I mean, to me, like, and nothing against Mike Bailey, I'm a bigger Josh Alexander fan, for sure. So, I mean, that's where I would have preferred to see Josh Alexander. I think that he would have fit in there quite nicely with the style of some of the wrestlers that were in the men's Royal Rumble match last night, especially once you got to the depths of the men's Royal Rumble match closer to the end. I think that there would have been some great opportunity there, but it then maybe would have also taken away from some of the things they did. Like, they did a great, fantastic job of representing NXT last night, especially with Braun Breaker making a massive impact in that Royal Rumble matchup. If some people that watch WWE don't watch NXT and aren't familiar with Braun Breaker, that situation last night with bringing him out the way they did and the impact that he made was spot on. It near excellence for somebody coming up from, the NXT roster to that main roster. It was great. Brian always got to get the dig in. Speedball is completely undeserving and outclassed. Fair enough, Brian. It is point of view. You are allowed to have your point of views heard. So there you go. But yeah, we're gonna be geared. I think Manchester United kicks off in about just 15-ish minutes or so. So just waiting on that. Right now, I think they're still playing the Liverpool Norwich game. Don't really care. But yeah, that's just the way it is. But yeah, elsewhere, yeah, I mean, like we said last night on the show, Cody winning the Royal Rumble for the second year in a row is fantastic if he finishes this story. If he does not beat Roman, and we know he's called out Roman with the way he looked at him, pointed him out, everything like that, if there is, if he does not finish the story and beat Roman and dethrone this run of Roman Reigns, the Royal Rumbles 2 years in a row have meant nothing, because you cannot do this twice in a row, allow him to go to this main event of WrestleMania to challenge the big boss. I mean, we're talking about the guy who's been at the top of the ladder for 3.5 years. You can't do that. There's no coming back from it if they pull it again. There's only one outcome, and that is Cody becomes the new WWE undisputed, several thousand different name Universal Champion on that night. For the women's one day, I'd like to see Masa Slamovich or Killer Kelly. Masa Slamovich is actually quite impressive. I hadn't seen a lot of her work until recently, but what I have seen, that is a star in the making for sure. And Killer Kelly definitely has some chops as well too. Brian saying, I enjoyed the Rumble post show. You need to invite Ella to one of the MLW watch parties. I found her entertaining. Ella's phenomenal, man. Yeah, no, I should find out if she's ever interested in joining for one of the watch parties for MLW. Ella is great. Go check out her work. She does so much great things within the wrestling community, and I'm glad that she was here to join us. She's also joined Astrid on post shows before as well too. So it was the first time that she joined myself and Ed last night. And yeah, it's been we've kind of been crossing paths for quite a few years, but never worked together on screen. So that was the first opportunity, and it was thank you to Astrid for making sure that all happened and got set up. And yeah, awesome. I'm really glad that it went the way it did, and that it was fun to watch, and glad we put smiles on faces, hopefully. Bobby's looking forward to MLW's Superfight. I am too, my friend. I think we will talk about it in depth a little bit more this coming Thursday night on Ring Respect Radio as we gear up towards the MLW Superfight on Saturday. Definitely looking forward to it. It's looking like a pretty strong card. Brian saying, since Pat McAfee entered the Royal Rumble, does that make you and Papa Smokes open to joining a PPW Battle Royal? Oh, Brian, you're really, really interested in watching me get my ass kicked one of these days, aren't you? I would always be down for the potential of entering a PPW Battle Royal, knowing that I have not got a hope in hell, and that I probably would do like Pat McAfee and be all confident and cool and collect as I'm walking in. And as soon as I looked at one of the other stars inside the ring, I would go, yeah, no, and eliminate myself like McAfee did last night. I like how McAfee sold the hell out of that. Like, he comes in, he thinks he's got a game plan, he backs out, he gets out of there, says forget it, and he gets back on commentary. He's like, how big is that guy? 7'3". He goes, that's not a human. That's not a human. And then Cole's trying to rub it in his face. Oh, well, I still hold the record for the longest announcer in a Royal Rumble match at a minute something. And Pat McAfee turns around. He goes, was there an Omos inside the ring when you were in the Royal Rumble there, Cole? Brilliant on McAfee's part. McAfee is very entertaining for these come into the Royal Rumble. He adds an energy to the Royal Rumble, especially, that I really enjoy. So I'm glad that they get McAfee in for these guest opportunities. And yeah, he was a bundle of fun last night. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great card. One of the best cards WWE's done top to bottom forever. Bobby said, I'm looking forward to watching Alex Hayne versus Satoshi Kojima and Jacob Fatu versus Yuji Nagata. Yeah, man, this influx of talent coming over from Japan has been brilliant on MLW's part. It's helping to build a lot more things. I'm curious to see if we find out more to do with Contra, because we've seen the blips coming in from Contra once again. Who's behind it? Who's going to be in it? Is Jacob Fatu a target, or is Jacob Fatu part of a reunited Contra unit coming in? Could we be seeing Cruel, aka Mods Kruger? Are we going to see Joseph Samael? There's a lot of unanswered questions right now, and one of the more intriguing parts of MLW going into Superfight is those unanswered questions. The one thing I'll say I'm not looking forward to at MLW Superfight, and sorry to all the people who like him, Sami Callihan, and I'll say it every single week on this show, he can flock off. I don't care. Bye, Sami Callihan. We don't want you. All right, looking at the clock, we're about 13 minutes away from kickoff for the Manchester United Newport County FA Cup 4th round matchup. Not sure who United is going to field. I'm just going to pull this up, see if they've announced who their starting lineup's going to be yet. We will have a quick peek. All right, lineups. All right. Okay, so they do seem to have a lineup. It's looking like it's going to be Rasmus Højlund right up front. Garnacho and Anthony out in the wings. Bruno is going to play him behind Rasmus. Kobe Mainu and Casemiro are going to be playing in the central mid roles with Luke Shaw and Delo on the wingbacks. Martinez and Veron in center back, and Bayender getting his goalkeeping debut for Manchester United today in this matchup. You know, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. This is a game that they should be able to breeze through, but it's never a guarantee. So, yeah. Bobby saying, your thoughts on Zeta Steel versus Delmiaxo versus Tiara James versus Notorious Mimi on the MLW tapings. Look, I'm glad that they're giving a lot of opportunity to the featherweights division. I want to see more featherweights matchups, but please give me Zeta Steel versus Delmi and Tiara versus Notorious Mimi, or two singles featherweight matches. I am not the biggest of fan or supporter of these multi-person matchups where I guarantee what will happen is 4 will start, 2 will get knocked outside the ring, then we will have 2 in the ring for an obscene amount of time before 1 comes in to replace one of the other ones, and back and forth till we have a victor. This is nothing against these talents. I like these talents, all 4 of them. But I think that this hinders the progression of some of the people that you want to put over when you put them in multi-person matchups. So I would prefer to see one-on-ones versus multi-person matchup, but I will say kudos to MLW for giving us more featherweights division matchup, especially with 4 names that they have gone forth with and made as a part of a permanent staple in their company. Brian, I'm sure the answer is no, but was there even small references made to Vince's trouble during the broadcast? Not during the broadcast, but in the press conference afterwards, people did drill questions to people such as Cody Rhodes. I'm not going to touch on it. Not interested. I don't want to talk about negative stuff in pro wrestling, to be honest. And although we do have to talk about Sami Callihan, and that's negative enough. At least Sami Callihan didn't show up. Hey, find the silver lining, Bobby. I appreciate that. Sami Callihan did not show up in the Royal Rumble, so it is a plus. Brian saying, I didn't like the Cable X match they had in TNA. It's a different type of match. It's, it is what it is. The Ultimate X has been there for quite some time, and it was something different. It's a variation of not quite a ladder match, but it's, you know what I mean. It's trying to do something a little bit different. So I understand it. I like the X division. So, I mean, I can't complain too badly. Bobby saying, I got a feeling that Tiara James or Notorious Mimi is getting pinned in this matchup. Yeah, I think you're on par there. I honestly think Zeta's going to pick up the victory in that matchup. They really want to push Zeta forward, and I don't blame them. She is a talent, and they want to make sure that they kind of are at the forefront of some of those talents' growth. So I can see that going that way. Brian, are we taking over what is supposed to be a soccer project? No. It's point of view. We talk about whatever you want to. Just because I'm going to be watching the game here does not mean that that's what we have to talk about throughout the entire thing. So no, we talk about whatever you want to talk about. This is your guys' show. Morning, Bear. Well, afternoon to you, Barry, I believe, or early evening. You're good 6 hours ahead of me there. Yeah, you're working your way into the evening there. So the Ultimate X is good with the right wrestlers, rubbish without. Yeah, it can be a little bit of a doozy. But yeah. Anyways, I need you all to just bear with me for one quick second. I need to grab a drink because my throat is getting dry. I will be back with you right away. Sorry. And we're back. That's how easy it is. But, all right. Bobby's got, what's he got? Give me Steph Delander versus Allison Kay and Tiara James versus Maki Ito in an MLW ring. I'm down for that. I mean, anything that would get Allison Kay over to the featherweight division for MLW would be fantastic. I think, I'm a fan of Allison Kay. I like her work. I'd like to see her over there bring that to MLW. So that would be great. And yeah, Steph Delander, I'm a fan of Steph Delander's as long as she's not doing anything outside of that. Like that joke stuff like she did last time. I wasn't a fan of that. Tiara James, Maki Ito's really turned me around as a fan too. I really liked Maki's work. Explain the push of Tony Novak and PPW. It seems like some other talent may make more sense. All right. I can do this for you. So, especially when it comes to independent wrestling, your options sometimes are limited. And that's not a knock at Tony. Okay. So we have certain people we can get at certain times. Sometimes it conflicts with other companies working within the prairie provinces. Tony is a local that sticks very strictly to Prairie Pro Wrestling. Tony is the guy who he is there for every training session. Tony is there setting up the ring, tearing down the ring, helping lead things in a backstage sort of way. Like he is the great guy backstage. Somebody needs a ride somewhere. Somebody needs this. Somebody needs that. Tony is that guy. Tony is what a lot of people talk about The Miz being to WWE, where everything that nobody else wanted to do, The Miz would do, which is what kept him in work for so long with the WWE. Tony's that guy. Tony's that great guy that he's there doing everything for everybody and always helping out. So it wasn't necessarily so much a push as it was he had some credible victories in PPW that the time had come to say, well, we haven't done Sheik versus Tony. We hadn't done it. And we did it to a lot of backlash at first. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of backlash towards the announcement of the first time Tony was in that matchup. And we did it, and it didn't become as negative as we thought. Once we got out there, a lot of people reacted quite positively to it. So when we gave a second opportunity and people had thought that Tony had won the belt, the reaction was deafening at Saskatoon that night. When people thought that Tony had beat the champion, they truly believed, and they got behind him at that point in time. So there was a connection that got created within doing this to the point where we kind of brought him into the fold of now bring him into that stuff with Colton Kelly to determine the new number one contender. Unfortunately, due to illness and due to a very near life-threatening potential surgery that he had to go through, Tony was unable to be with us in December. And I still don't, I'm pretty sure that he's coming back, and I hope that he's coming back because he's such a great person, but it was to a point of complete scariness with Tony that he might not have ever graced a ring again, kind of thing. So we hope for the best, and I do believe that we will be seeing him back. But yeah, the push was, he's been with us forever. Like, he really has. He's been there for years. He's trained for years. He's never the guy trying to politic a way to the top or anything like that. He's, whatever he's asked to do, Tony does. And he's a great human being. And it's more of an authentic thing than anything, Brian, to be honest. Mark Talks Wrestling. How are you doing? Mark Talks Wrestling, Mark Talks Gaming, Mark Talks Football. I'm going to be talking about football here because, of course, Manchester United should be kicking off in a matter of a few minutes, as long as I remember to get it ready back up on my screen here to go. But yes, Mark, how are you doing? Thanks for joining in on Point of View, mate. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the work you've been doing, helping us out with the shorts, clips, everything here on our local establishment, and hopefully be joining us for some live shows or something in the not too distant future, as Mark, a great, wonderful part of our local establishment here now in 2024. But make sure to go check all his shows, including the new one that I'm going to be a part of, where I'm going to take over the role of running Major League Wrestling as we go through WWE 2K23's universe mode. Mark's going to be taking over WWE. I'm taking over MLW. And Lauren Goodnight is going to be taking over the side of AEW. You're going to want to check those out. Those are going to be on Mark's channel. So go over and subscribe to him on YouTube so that you can find out when those all start going live. I believe, Mark, if I'm not mistaken, stuff starts dropping today/tomorrow. And I believe my first MLW show is this Tuesday night on your channel. So everybody's going to want to keep their eyes out for that. We're going to be having a good old time. As Mark says, setting up all of the shorts for next week. Perfect, my man. Perfect. All right. So give me just 1 second, folks, as I'm getting my channel turned on here for the game. The match is, I'm pretty sure we're kicking off in like less than a minute. So if I don't get this running, it'll all be for nothing. All right. Think we got her. I believe we are underway. Or at least partially there anyway. Hold on. All right, let's go to another one here. Mark saying Friday will be the draft, and the week after will be the first show. Okay, sounds good. Wasn't too sure, so I will. I will have my videos to you right after the live program here, Mark. I do have it ready. I just haven't sent it, but I will send that over on Slack to you right after I am all wrapped up here, my friend. And saying that February 5th will be our official first episode, so be watching out for that on February the 5th. Joining us as we conquer the world of WWE 2K23 Universe mode, and man, I'm ecstatic for the roster that I managed to land. You guys are going to want to check out that roster draft that we did. It was quite the show. It's fun as hell for what went down, and I landed what I would call a dream team for the MLW side. We got Bobby saying awesome. Yes, Look out for that, Bobby. Bobby, I'm looking forward to watching Jake Christ debut in MLW against Ricky Shane Page. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Jake Christ brings to MLW for sure. I know I'm not as excited to see Ricky Shane Page at the moment because it really hasn't done anything for me since he came to MLW. I just not really. It's kind of dull. Dominic and Von Wagner. Your boy Von Wagner didn't get a run in the Royal Rumble last night there, Barry, unfortunately, but Dirty Dom sure did, and he did pretty decent for himself, I'd say. I'd say it was a good time for Dirty Dom there until he finally got tossed out a little bit later in the match, but I'd say he lasted longer than most would have expected Dirty Dom to last anyway. We're saying, I might have something to say about that with my brand. Well, you can try. We just need to gang up on AEW. Oh, we got to. You want us to take out that AEW brand already? We want to create a poison to go through AEW and destroy them internally. This was your whole diabolical plot to begin with. Buy up AEW and then make sure to crush them internally. All right. Brian saying, I'm thinking Hammerstone has to be known as Juicer. How does no one pick him up? Oh, as Juicer. It's not the juice, Brian. It's, what is it, growth hormones? Growth hormones, my friend. You don't have to juice them. You can take them in pill format, apparently, these days. Bobby say, my guess is Janai Kai and Jacob Fatu are on your roster. Well, watch the show, Bobby. Watch the show, my friend. You can tune in. Now, keep in mind that there is some availability of people from 2K23 create community kind of thing. So some of that is possible, but not necessarily all of it possible. But you have to wait and see. Just like Mark says, you have to wait and see. It depends on who's been available, but a lot of it is WWE people. We will say that a lot of it is people that were in WWE 2K23 in terms of availability as well too. But you'll be interested in my locker room, and Mark's and Lauren's as well too. It was quite the show. Bit hit miss, but I thought overall Rumble show last night wasn't bad. I thought it was pretty solid actually for Royal Rumble. I was more impressed than not impressed anyway for last night. As my cat's over here trying to create a Royal Rumble of their own. Not liking each other today. It's kitty fighting day. All right, hold on. I gotta not get distracted for 1 minute so I can actually get the game on here. My TV ain't working so great. Bobby saying, here, hold on. Bobby saying, who would you like to see Jordan Grace wrestle against in a WWE ring? Well, again, I believe Jordan Grace being the powerhouse that she did and a little teases with Bianca Belair, I think that Bianca Belair would be a very easy and obvious choice to have Jordan Grace in a matchup with, especially when we're talking about someone of that caliber. But her and Ivy actually had a couple of nice little spots there with each other. Whether or not that they would make a good matchup against each other or whether they make a good formation as a team would be something I'd be curious to see as well too. But yeah, no, it was great to see Jordan Grace there. Whether or not she's WWE bound anytime too soon, I mean, that begs to be questioned. Again, I believe that when we were on the after show last night, the post show, that we essentially heard that she had announced that you might not have seen the last of TNA in a WWE ring kind of thing. So look out for what's on the horizon when it comes to this partnership, or at least this more open door society that's being created within the WWE now. So, if this TV doesn't start working right away, I am just about ready to check out on watching the game live, to be honest. Brian saying we know how much you loved Kings of Coliseum. It's hard to believe you liked the Rumble more. Yeah, my fandom for Kings of Coliseum was just through the roof, I know. But I'm hoping that the momentum of wrestling has picked up and that we will see better things yet to come, especially from MLW. I'm really praying MLW is better this coming Saturday, Brian. Like, they need a better showing than what they gave at Kings of Coliseum, because everybody else up in their game right now, and meanwhile MLW's over there like, oh, we'll get it back. Well, I hope you do. I really hope, for everybody's sake there in that company, that you get it back and that it happens right away, because everybody else is kicking ass and taking names. Well, I mean, everybody except for AEW, and I'm sorry to anybody who likes AEW, but right now, holy shit, talk about a company that's in shambles. It's just shame to see. Barry saying people say nobody watches TNA, nobody cares, but I think reaction to Jordan Grace coming out suggests otherwise. I 100% agree. I think fans are tuned in enough to know who people are from other companies, especially whether they watch full-time or not. I think you can make the argument that if nothing else, they're familiar with who Jordan Grace is. They've gone to check out at least a match or two of Jordan Grace's at this point in time. So I think that is perfectly said, Barry. I think that people are paying attention. They are watching. They're aware of it. And so I think, yeah, that reaction was fantastic for Jordan Grace. And I think that the fact that now the WWE fans are talking, now they're, questioning, like, is she on her way over? Is this someone we're going to get to be familiar with soon? Is good for both her and for TNA as well, too. It puts TNA in a bigger spotlight for sure. And, more people might be inclined to even go check out now, because they're like, well, Jordan Grace was impressive. Let's go and see what she does in TNA moving forward. Bobby saying he'd like to see Jordan Grace versus Tegan Knox or against Zoe Stark, both great options. Did she come out with her? Yes, she did. Yeah, she came out with the TNA Knockouts Championship last night, which was a very nice touch. It was great to see Carmelo Hayes in the men's Royal Rumble match. Yes, Melo did fantastic being in that matchup last night, so great opportunity for him as well. And like I said, a lot of great opportunity for everybody within NXT that was featured last night. NXT not only was featured, but NXT was featured in a way that they weren't buried or made to look silly. They were made to look competitive against everybody that they went against last night. So I can't complain at all with how last night went. I think everybody did fantastic. All right, we're just gonna I'm gonna give my TV one more quick reboot here, see if there's any hope of resurrecting this. Otherwise, I'm just gonna watch for the live updates and see if that does anything for me, because clearly I'm having issues on my old ass TV here. Trick Williams should be in the men's Royal Rumble match in the future. Agreed. I think a lot of people thought that there was a chance for that last night, but not the case in the end. But hey, you know what? The one nice thing is that they didn't rely on legends last night at all. There was no legend impact there at all. So it was good to see that difference where they focused on the future and the present of WWE more so than going backwards in time. So, and of course I didn't get my game started just yet, but my team has scored already. We're already up 1-0. So that's a positive to the day as well, too. Manchester United lead 1-0 from a goal through Bruno Fernandes. So decent start there. I'm going to give this one more chance here. And if I cannot get this going, then I will just watch the live updates as opposed to fighting with my TV much longer. All right, what we got here? Bobby's asking, would you like to see MLW do a women's battle royal? If there's... See, the thing is like, yes, but they would need a lot of women in the featherweights division for that, or a lot of connection to bring in a lot of different women from various companies or from the past. The issue there is, like, they usually do a battle riot with the guy side of things, and if they try to mimic the battle riot, we're talking 40 competitors, and the featherweights division just has not been around long enough or done enough things yet for them to have that many people that have been there to do those things. So I'm not really 100% certain that they would be able to do it like we would want them to. So yes and no. I'm mixed on it, Bobby. I do want to see it, but I think that they've got a long way to go before they can get to those realistic abilities of doing the battle riot or any form of battle royal for the women in MLW. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm at the level of giving up on this TV. I got to get a better TV. But either way, team's up 1-0. I will watch for the live updates as we continue to talk about some pro wrestling here on the channel as well too. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to talk about. We'll keep that going. I like that they do intergender in MLW. Me too. That's the thing, and you know that they're not outside of the realm of possibility of getting, you know, some of the women into the matchup itself, the battle riot. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw more women in the battle riot matchup this time around. And Bobby coming in. I feel like if they did it, they should have Steph DeLander, Allison Kay, Miranda Gordy, Shawza McKenzie. Yeah, all names that I think you would have to have. Like, you have to start getting names of that caliber in there in order to be able to solidify a legitimate battle royal. Unless you're going to do a lesser amount of competitors, that's the only other thing I can imagine. But MLW, again, it's limited resources, limited time, limited availability. You start to think, like, bringing that many people in for doing that, you're going to justify it with trying to do that and a men's one as well too. So now you're talking 80 wrestlers paychecks. You're talking that much more time on Fight Plus. You're talking a lot of, like, your revenue, like your cost of operations goes way up, and your return on investment isn't necessarily going to be there for an MLW because they're not going to be able to change to a bigger venue and sell out more tickets. They're not going to be able to get more buy rates because they go through the process of putting it through Triller TV Plus. So really, it doesn't give them the focus that they need. Boom! Goal number 2, Kobe Manu. Hell yeah. Yes, young man. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. But yes, I think that the return on investment isn't enough for MLW to make that investment at the moment. If they, as Bobby's saying, if they did like 20 or 30, sure, that's making a big difference. 20 or 30, and it would have to be drastically reduced with talent that they already have at their disposal there. That's going to be there anyway, kind of thing, without overdoing it. We still gotta respect the fact that MLW is very independent to a degree. While they're on a higher level than most independent companies, MLW is still very much an independent company. And when it comes to independent companies, it's not easy to do. Would we love to be able to invite, 80 wrestlers to a Prairie Pro Wrestling card and have battle royals and all these different matches? Yes, hell yes, we would. Of course we would. But the problem is that money, travel costs, all these kind of things, make it unfeasible. And it still does with MLW, despite the FU money they might have won from the WWE. Barry Monkey saying, watching Braun, Tiffany, and others from NXT, while good, they looked like they still need a bit more time, but Carmelo looks like he could be given a big main event run now, a title. He's better than most of the main roster. Carmelo's great. He's gets it. He has that it factor. Yeah, Tiffany, Braun could still use work, but they put them in there in a way that helped elevate them, which is nice. That's part of it, right? Like, it's got to be nerve-wracking, right? Like, you can imagine the mentality of being a young person in professional wrestling, and you've worked in front of these small crowds, no problem. It's great. You've been on TV, that's great, but you haven't been in front of 40,000 plus. You haven't been in there with some of the big name stars that you've seen pass by in a locker room, but you have yet to go and stand inside a ring and actually work with them and talk with them and do this stuff with them. So there's going to be some of those jitters in there for sure, but credibility to the way this was all booked and put together and the people that were leading in the matches and everything, because they made these people look like they belonged. They made them look like they were somebody. They weren't just a nameless entry into the Royal Rumble matchups. They made them look like they mattered, and that's half the battle. Brian saying the men's is already a little BS with Kimchi as Tekka's former announcers, so maybe they need to be able to fill the normal one first. That's just it. I mean, they really reach when it comes to who goes into the Battle Riot. So with that said, like, I'd rather just see the Battle Riot feature intergender wrestling from that argument perspective. I would like to see the Battle Riot have some of those heavy hitters from the featherweight division be able to go in there, because why not? Like Brian said, when you throw in Kimchi's and Azteca former announcers and all this kind of thing, all this stuff, if those can go in, there's no reason that the featherweights can't be involved with the actual Battle Riot match itself, which is 100% feasible and probably a lot more entertaining, if you ask me. They could use wrestlers from Oceania Pro Wrestling too. They could, but I'm wondering how this partnership is going to work out, because again, are MLW going to pay for flights and stay and everything for multiple people to come from Australia to the US for their shows? Now, I know they're doing it for Japanese talent and Mexican talent and all this kind of stuff, but Australia, I mean, this is a lot of difference in the time frames, everything like that, and a lot of travel involved and all this. And again, all respect to Oceania Pro Wrestling. They are great, but they aren't a big named company. Like when MLW is working with CMLL, or they're working with AAA, or they're working with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Dragon Gate, those companies are a little bit more established financially and everything like that than Oceania Pro are. And that's where I wonder about the financial stability of sending the wrestlers back and forth between the two companies right now, and how much it's going to benefit. I hope it really benefits. I really do. I'm praying it does, because I love wrestling in Australia. Australian wrestling is fantastic, and I want to see this partnership work. I'm just very curious about the financial stability and how it's going to play out and what MLW receives in return for this whole thing. Bobby saying Booker T student Roxanne Perez was in the Royal Rumble match too last night. Yeah, Roxanne did phenomenal in there. Speaking of Booker T and speaking of MLW, I had read a report as well too. I believe Ed Fries had shared it with us, where they claim that Booker T is pushing for the WWE to sign Jacob Fatu to their roster. So interesting to know, Booker T is really a big fan of Jacob Fatu and looking to try to get him over to the WWE. Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling too. Yeah, 100% Bobby. Of course, we can't forget about TJPW and the influx of talent that they've been providing as of late. And going back over to my game, looks like, again, we are still 2-0 up through goals through Kobe Mainu and Bruno Fernandez. So the 2-0 lead is definitely A good start. BDJ, how are you doing, brother? Thank you for joining me here on Point of View. And I don't know if you heard the announcement. Yeah, I'm sure you have. But Prairie Pro Wrestling coming back with our first show of 2024. That is going to be on Saturday, February the 24th, as PPW presents Love is Dead. And the title is on the line. Cutthroat Colton Kelly finally getting his number one contender matchup against Sheik Akbar Shabazz in one-on-one action. We also got tag team action scheduled for that night, as the Short Kings are once again going to be taking on the Brotherhood. That is Bucky McGraw's grouping of the Dixie Dragon and Jacob Creed. For those of you who haven't seen that unfolding just yet in PPW, go check out the YouTube channel and get caught up. Just went 6. You're funny, man. Bobby said, I look forward to see who could be the next challenger for Alex Kane after Satoshi Kojima. Yes, I would agree that Kane is going to probably take that one. Yeah, I'm very curious as well, too, Bobby. They haven't really pushed anyone to the point where the depth of the roster is there. It'd be nice if they could bring in another big name for Kane to go over. And I know we can sit here with speculate this person and this person, but we really don't know. At this point, we really, really don't know. How do we pay-per-view Love is Dead? Brian asks. Then you know what, Brian? If I don't know. I don't know about the stability of the connections in the hall that we rent. So let me think on this, my friend. Maybe I can work something out for you. Maybe I can just let you see the hard cam footage of it, something like that. We'll have a chat. I know you're a hardcore dedicated fan, so we can talk. Maybe we'll set something up. Maybe Shelton Benjamin or someone from New Japan Pro. Again, that's what I mean, Bob. We can speculate. It's great to speculate, and I would love either of those opportunities to be on the board, especially Shelton Benjamin. But we don't know. We don't know where MLW's at, what they're planning to do. You know, for all we know, they're leading to the World Titan Federation's involvement in this whole thing and them getting somebody that could be the catalyst, Alex Kane. We believe that this is all leading to the inevitable War Chamber matchup where we always have the babyface faction and the heel faction that have been built up around the whole thing to get to where we need to go. Barry saying his longtime TNA fan, I hope MLW can get Tommy Dreamer to go with. No, please just stop sending your leftovers over to us there, Barry. I know that MLW needs names, but we don't need the leftover names. I don't need Tommy Dreamer. I still would take Tommy Dreamer over Sami Callihan, but we already got Callihan, so we don't need Dreamer as well, too. So please, no, just you can keep him. You can have Callihan back, too. Like, please take Callihan back. I will trade Callihan for anybody else on the TNA roster. Anyone. Name them. I don't care who it is. You can be your other most hated person on all of TNA. I will gladly make that trade of Callihan back to TNA for whoever you got. Bobby saying maybe Minoru Suzuki or Davey Boy Smith Jr. could be that case. Again, they originally had Davey Boy Smith Jr. slated to take on Alex Kane prior to an injury that set Davey Boy Smith Jr. back. So, yeah, exactly. 100% agree with Brian on we have reached our dirty hardcore limit at MLW. That's right. We got the second gear crew looming around doing too many hardcore matches and all that kind of junk. So we don't need more of that. We will gladly take Giselle Shaw on the MLW roster. 100%, Bobby. I agree with you. Yes, Giselle Shaw, who, again, graced the Canadian wrestling scene for quite some time here. Unfortunately, got too well known prior to any opportunity for PPW. But then again, you never say never. Again, I do know that PPW management are still friends with Giselle Shaw. So if she's ever touring and happens to be in the area and we happen to be putting on a show, it's not impossible for that to happen one day. So yeah, but I would that would be great. Giselle Shaw can come to MLW as well too anytime. I would take Zaya Brooks too. Yes, but again, I think at this point, Bobby, we're picking the better people from TNA to try to trade back Callahan, who they don't want. I mean, some might want him. I mean, I don't know, but I honestly didn't want him in MLW. I wish he would have just left everywhere, like not come back to wrestling, period, or go to some obscure wrestling company that I've never heard of and that I never will hear of and I will never watch. GCW. Just saying. Yeah, I did watch a little bit of OVW over the last little while. I've been checking out a little bit of OVW a little bit more, and I do enjoy watching them. And it's not just the fact that they had the Netflix documentary. One thing I do enjoy is they're still very much an independent company trying to push bigger than what they are. And it was great. Even the production, the cameras don't match up perfectly. The YouTube feed the other night, it went dead after a while, and then they had to refire it up, so they lost 50% of their audience immediately, who still didn't realize that the show wasn't completely over. So it was this whole hot mess of everything that I understand and appreciate and don't even get upset about when it comes to independent level wrestling, because so many things are difficult in independent wrestling. It's not easy. And, I read things in the comments, people, they got to get their shit together, or someone should get fired for this. Who should get fired for this? Most people in independent wrestling aren't getting paid to be there. They're doing it because they love being a part of this. They're trying their damnedest to do everything with the minimal that they have. And so what people don't understand is that it's not a matter of somebody who's getting paid a massive salary needing to get fired from their job. No, it's a lot of people doing it because they really care about professional wrestling and want to see it succeed. So that is why these things happen. And it's unfortunate. We have had camera issues at PPW, and we have had to make do with what we can when we can. Barry saying you can't have Alicia Edwards. No, well, okay, then if you insist. Okay. I know you're not an Alicia Edwards fan, but I'll take Alicia Edwards over Callahan any day of the week. I don't care. I really, really don't like Sami Callahan, one of my most hated professional wrestlers of all time. Brian Carter saying PPW needs to get PCO for the Halloween. Well, yeah, that, or we could get one of the boys to dress as PCO for the Halloween show and get the same kind of effect. But PCO, he's an interesting cat, that one. I mean, it's not my style of professional wrestling, but he kind of knows his place, does his spot, and doesn't overtake the entire show usually. So PCO is kind of harmless in a sense to me. Bobby saying he doesn't care for Sami Callahan, Matt Riddle, and Matt Cardona. For Sami Callahan, Matt Cardona and Matt Riddle are better than him. Yeah, I agree. And again, I always keep forgetting, Riddle's over there now too. So I'm imagining Riddle, Alex Kane has got to happen at some point. I would really think that Riddle and Alex Kane has got to be on its way at some point in time. So yeah, we'll have to see. But it's gonna be an interesting time to see where it all goes and what they're gonna do. It's coming up. Yeah, it's coming up quick. I mean, this Saturday, I keep forgetting that we have already got another opportunity for MLW. Bobby saying Mustafa Ali has aired a vignette had a vignette air recently on. Interesting. I didn't know that. But so they actually aired a vignette for Mustafa Ali on MLW. If that's the case, great, because Mustafa Ali and MLW, 100%. I love that idea. I think that adds another depth. TNA. Yeah, I knew about the TNA one. He's definitely coming to TNA. I knew that, and that's huge for TNA. I think Mustafa Ali is a great get for any company right now. I think he's an ultra talented guy. I really do, and I think that him going over to TNA is fantastic. When you said MLW, I was quite excited there, Bobby. I was looking forward to that. So, but I'm looking forward to that with TNA as well too. I do like TNA wrestling. I've been watching a little bit more lately, so I'm happy for them. But yeah, we're still looking at 2-0 over in my game there. So I think we are going to hopefully stay strong in that. To Manchester United will end up leading that whole thing and coming out victorious. So, but yeah, 2-0. So yeah. And then Bobby saying, I hope he does a vignette air for it. That would be great. It would be great. Again, I don't know what Court Bauer has planned, what kind of funds he's got now that he's been paid off by the WWE to leave him alone. So we'll have to see how it goes. Barry saying, when I first saw PCO, I thought, who is this clown? Impact have signed. But after a year of watching him put on some brilliant matches, particularly against Bronson Reed, he is one of my favorite wrestlers. He's, like I say, a very, very interesting individual. I never in a million years expected to be tuning in and seeing the guy that used to be one half of the Quebecers tag team from when I was growing up. I never expect to see that guy doing the shit that he's doing and somehow surviving this many decades doing what he's been doing. I could only imagine PCO's body hurts so much at this point that he's gone completely numb to it. He has to have gone completely numb to it because every time I see older people in professional wrestling doing that kind of crazy shit, I cringe a little bit because I know what it feels like to take a bump. I know what it feels like to do some of that shit. Not like these guys do, but some of it. Enough to know that it hurts. And you're doing that crazy shit at an older, advanced age, it hurts a hell of a lot more. So kudos to PCO for what he does. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but he understands his place, and I respect that about him. All right, but kind of just a little over the hour mark. I know that I didn't get a chance to actually watch the full game that's going on. I'm going to continue to watch the highlights, but I'm not going to keep everybody here all day. It's too beautiful a Sunday to stay cooped up inside. So we're going to get on with our days respectively here. I think I'm going to call it a day on the show for this time, but I really appreciate everybody who came and joined me here on this Sunday to talk about some professional wrestling. I always enjoy your company, and I hope that you enjoyed mine too. Down below, you'll find my ticker. That is me, Bobby Munson, where you're going to be able to find me all over the place, including my own Twitch channel where I've been streaming this as well today. My Twitch channel, OLE's Twitch channel, and of course our YouTube channel as well too. I will be back again this week on Thursday night with Papa Smokes for more Ring Respect Radio. And then you're going to be able to catch me Saturday for the MLW Superfight watch-along party. And then next Sunday, I will be back with another episode of Point of View. We got a lot of great stuff coming out on the channel for you all week long. Before I let you go, here's the calendar of what's up for OLE. I'm
out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, yeah, you're burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa, I can sing, I can hear, going crazy, but the luck has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again.
And that's what we got coming up for you this week. Very big week for us here at our local establishment. As Barry saying, I don't mind the blood, but I really object to Sami Callihan spitting. Yeah, I mean, blood goes only so far for me, but yeah, spitting, just no thanks. An NXT wrestler, Duke Hudson, will be at Reality of Wrestling. So, interesting add to the Reality of Wrestling roster. Again, as I said, everything OLE, that ticker that's been down below throughout the entire show. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And if this is on YouTube, make sure to shout out in the comment section. Look forward to hearing back from you all and talking to you more. I will be back with you again next Sunday. I am Bobby Munson. Take care, everybody, and I will see you again very soon.